All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you all so much for stopping by. My name is Eli with Pokémon USA. If you do not know, Tuesdays and Thursdays are our Q&A session days where I answer any and all of your questions. Of course, the video itself is titled the same as the previous video. This is for the reason that I don't typically get the time to answer all of the comments that you guys have or questions that you guys have for the YouTube videos. So this is the opportunity for you to ask that live. We've got a lot to talk about today, especially Pokemon reprints. I wonder if that's why we have so many concurrent viewers already out the gate. Maybe not. People are just interested in Pokemon product as a whole. But of course, before we start giving shout outs to people that are here, make sure to enter into our weekly giveaways. You leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content for you to do so each and every week. We've got 3 winners each and every week. And then if you want to support or join the community, Discord link is down in the description below. One other exciting announcement I want to make for all of you guys outside the US. We just recently created a partnership with a business who is going to help us get 85% off shipping rates when it comes to using our wholesale program. So if you're someone who of course was interested in the wholesale program, but you were stopped from joining it because you don't live in the United States, because shipping rates are so much, well, great news for you. Shipping rates are going to be extremely cheap for you guys now. Instead of it costing, let's say, $1,200 to ship to Australia for a package that weighs 50 pounds, it's now only going to cost you $300. So you're going to be saving roughly around $900 for full max capacity. And if you're wondering 50 pounds, how much is that? That's about 5 to 6 cases of booster box. And at the end of the day, you break it down, it's going to save you just an absolute ton. So we're super excited to be able to officially announce this partnership. I'll be making a video about that in the Patreon Discord today so that you guys will be able to get the full details of how to take advantage of that sponsorship agreement. So, but let's give a couple of shout outs to people here. So DJ, Saintly, Poke Trainer, Plebisaurus, Pika Pika, EN, Southern Rainbows, hey guys, Big Papa, Shadowless Tony, Coolest Shy, Steven Ling, and Sia Games, and Duke. Shout out to all of you guys that are here. Glad to see we've got quite a bit of people out the gate. I'm excited to see that. I hope you guys are excited for some of the big news that we're going to be discussing because, oh my goodness gracious, we've got some things to talk about. But let's go through and see if there's any questions that I can answer. I'm like 10 minutes in the black phone. Any y'all seen? Don't know what he's referencing at that, but shout out to Benson 295 today, Southern Rainbow. What do you think about the Pikachu 160, 159 Secret Rare card from Crown Zenith? That's similar to the Precious Collection box. I think it's going to look gorgeous. I'm excited. I love the Pikachu, so I think the fact that we're finally getting some love from promos that are transferring over to US sets, I'm excited about it. What are some Pokemon that are being overlooked but will be more popular in the future? I mean, I guess the question is, when you say being overlooked, are you talking about from an investment perspective, from a popularity perspective? Because I feel as if it's a really easy argument to say that most of the generations that aren't nostalgic yet are being overlooked. So like XY era, Sword and Shield era, the Sun and Moon era, a lot of these eras where we might think it sucks, but in the future, kids that grew up in that era are going to love certain Pokemon in that era, and so they're going to become popular over time. Kind of like how people hated so much on Gen 5. I grew up with Gen 5. I love Gen 5, and you look at a lot of the Gen 5 Pokemon that have popped off, especially off of Cosmic. It's a perfect reason to believe the same in the future. All of them there is collected. Yeah, right. Holy, made it for the first time, not to be late for a live. Hey chat, what's up Sia? Thanks for not, of course, being late. Make sure to hit the like button, indeed, Duke. Make sure to hit the like. What's up, Antonio? Join the Discord group. It's definitely worth it. What's up, Doctor? Thanks for the shout out on that one. What's up, Tori? How's it going? How's it going? What are the top 5 Sword and Shield sets to invest in? Well, I would say it's a very hard conversation to say what are the top 5 Sword and Shield investments across the board, because are we talking sealed product? Are we talking singles? Are we talking graded? What are we talking about here? There's so many different things we obviously have to take into consideration when we have that conversation. But one thing I wanted to pull up because there's a conversation that we need to have today. Let me do a quick search from me as a user through our Discord so that I can jump to the article that we're going to be having a conversation about. I hope you guys are ready for this. So if you haven't already seen this, and yes, this will be more than likely tomorrow's video, so we'll have a full in-depth conversation about this, but we recently got an update. This was from the Pokemon company that released this not that long ago, but we're aware that some fans are experiencing difficulties purchasing Pokemon trading card games and products due to very high demand and global shipping constraints impacting availability. We understand the inconvenience can be disappointing for fans. We're working to address this with what's in our control. In the situation where this is limited availability, we're actively working to print more of the impacted Pokemon product as quickly as possible at a maximum capacity to support the increased demand. Reprinted products are expected to be available at retailers as soon as possible. For new Pokemon TCG expansions launching in the future, we're maximizing production to increase product availability upon release. We will continue to reprint the product and replenish stock at retailers as soon as possible. We'd like to thank everyone in the community. So this was posted yesterday. It looks like they updated it about 6 hours ago. Of course, I could be 100% off base. Maybe it wasn't posted yesterday. But to my knowledge, when the article was posted in the Discord chat and when it was eventually announced, this came up and popped up about, I want to say, it came out like a couple hours after the initial release in the Discord. So this is something that I feel like is extremely constructive. You would like to believe that obviously it doesn't have an exact article date. You're just going off of updates. You would like to believe this is relatively new. And if so, this is insane. Like, this is going to set us up for success in terms of Pokemon reprints being expected in the future. So I am extremely, extremely excited to have a conversation about that and just kind of see what this is going to truly entail for product. But booster boxes and ETBs, Coral says. Top 5? Oh, that's hard, man. I mean, if you're going off of pricing, right now, that's a hard one to say because I'm saying stay away from all booster boxes at this moment in time. But for elite trainer boxes, specialty ETB like Crown Zenith, you're going to have a lot of opportunity with both the PC ETB and the standard ETB. I think you can make an argument for Vivid Voltage ETBs being pretty cheap. Fusion Strike ETBs are pretty cheap. Chilling Rain ETBs they've gone up in price, so maybe not as much them. But you've got opportunity with Darkness Ablaze, and you say, I hate Darkness Ablaze, it's a terrible set, but yeah, it's also like 30 to like $27, so it's dirt cheap. I love myself, obviously, some Shining Fates, so I'd say probably Shining Fates, Crown Zenith, Specialty Standard, and then I would say Brilliant Stars ETB, and then for the last one, I'd probably say a Vivid Voltage ETB, because having a Pikachu on the box design is going to add a ton of value in the future. Hey, just joined the Wholesale Patreon yesterday. Excited to learn. Hey, well, thanks so much for stopping by and joining. Such a cute face. You don't think it'd be so spicy? The hell up, John. You troll. Does this mean they're reprinting some sets? Well, all that this means for us, as far as we're interpreting it, is when they say for new Pokemon TCG expansions launching in the future, we're maximizing production to increase product availability upon release, and we'll continue to reprint the product to replenish stocks at retailer. When you read that, and they say that they're printing at max capacity, and they're doing so to replenish product as well outside of just new set releases, it has me to believe that yes, we should. We've already kind of made predictions that there's going to be reprints soon, but this is more or less an argument that, hey, we're going to have reprints and they're coming around the corner. For me personally, I think that the biggest thing with that is with Scarlet and Violet being around the corner. Historically speaking, Scarlet and Violet and then the following set after that, they're usually centered around competitive sets. So if you look at Rebel Clash, Sword and Shield Base, they were both not sets that everyone was hyped up about because the cards, there's a reason it's called Rebel Trash, but the competitive cards within were extremely, extremely viable because it changed the meta drastically. So my kind of expectation is that we're going to get reprints more than likely after Scarlet and Violet base gets printed, because you're going to see a huge amount of demand for any sort of booster box products. And with Scarlet and Violet being one that's going to be available, and the shift of course, a new MSRP price, I think they want to make that transitional shift starting off with the Scarlet and Violet era. I could be 100% off based with this. Who knows? They could do it a little bit earlier. I don't think from a business perspective that makes the most sense. And the Pokemon company is pretty good about that kind of thing. So for me, it'd be Scarlet and Violet comes out, it drops, they wait a couple weeks, and then they get a reprint. Now, is it possible, like I said before, that we get some news in February or March for reprint news before, of course, we officially get reprints a couple months later? Yes, that's kind of what my prediction is, but it could be one way or another, you know? Do you see Astral Radiance and Lost Origin boosters going up another 10 to 20 bucks before April, assuming reprint is around April, May? I think that $10 to $20 is extremely possible. I mean, $10 seems realistic. $20 seems less realistic, but still possible based on the current state of things. All I want to hear is Evolving Skies is getting reprinted. You and like 20,000 other people. Hey man, thanks for tolerating my spam in the Q&A. You're all good, brother. I mean, I totally get it. Obviously, if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The only reason why I'm obviously trying to like help answer your questions is to let you know that there's value within it. And not to mention too, once it fills up entirely, I don't want you to feel like you missed out. I'm not trying to obviously say that from a FOMO perspective, but what I am trying to say is that with what it's going to bring in the long term, that's an opportunity you have to take into consideration, and you can't have a short-term mindset of it, you know? Because if you're saying to yourself, okay, well, booster boxes are super scarce right now, I only want booster boxes. Well, first and foremost, you're going to find value out of product more than just booster boxes, right? But even with that, when booster boxes do go back in stock, and then you're going to say to yourself, oh, well, I want to be able to buy these booster boxes at wholesale, and then all of a sudden it's filled up, then you're going to have missed out on that opportunity. So I just want, obviously, to help you get like a clearer understanding as we continuously fill up the wholesale program. Brilliant Stars Poke Center, ETB still there? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I still enjoy them. What's up, Wrath? Thank you so much for stopping by as always. What do you think about Cosmic Eclipse will do as an investment? Cosmic Eclipse, the cards, the pack, the booster box, the ETBs. I mean, once again, guys, it's really hard. You got to give me more specifics when you kind of ask questions like that, because I can totally answer it for you. But I, of course, would love to be able to get a little bit more, you know, context to what specifically you're referencing. Is black and white going to be a vintage new era? Well, for me, it's almost felt like it's been vintage, but I think now in the Scarlet and Violet era, it is more than likely going to feel even more like vintage, and it's going to be classified in that way. Sealed product. I mean, we've seen obviously how Cosmic Eclipse has been doing. It's out of rotation, so it's not going to get reprints. In terms of booster box prices and elite trainer box prices, I think that the direction has just continued to go up because the demand for a set like this is extremely high. With, of course, all of this being said, there's a lot of speculation as a whole on the overall market within the US, like just how the economy is doing. So if we just say the economy stays the way that it is right now and we don't go into an extended period of hyperinflation or a devastating recession, then I would say yes, it's going to do well. But if we were to, I think that a lot of these sets, like in the Sun and Moon era, which I think are hyper overvalued, I think they're going to end up crashing quite a bit, because I think the fact that, sure, they're out of rotation, they're out of print, so they're not going to get reprints. That doesn't change the fact in my mind that they should not be valued at 10x just because they're a 4-year-old set. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't have $1,000 team up booster boxes, $900, $800 team up booster boxes. That's just unheard of. What are your thoughts on Pokemon Go tins half off at Walmart right now? Well, I guess the question is, Young Tuna, what is half off at Walmart? Because right now with our distributors, one in particular is offering a special deal where if you buy a Ultra Premium Collection Charizard for $75, you get a Pokemon Go tin for free. So they're literally giving it to us for free. So it's hard for me to say it's a good deal from that perspective, because I'm like, well, I'm getting it for free, so spending money period on it seems like a bad deal. But I guess for yourself, getting a pack at, I assume it's $10, so you're getting them at $2.50 a pack. That's probably a pretty good deal, I would say. But even then, I mean, like, what is the current market value, I guess, of the Pokemon Go tins? Because if we go and take a look right now at Pokemon Go sealed product, I mean, let's just take a look. Let's take a look before I say anything more. So for a single one, I mean, if you're getting them 50% off, well, so let's see where the pack value is. Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, after fees, you're barely scraping by making money if you're trying to flip it. But, I mean, it's a value, I guess. Let's see, $20.88 if you're buying it for $10 a pop. After fees, it's more like 17. You're shipping. You could make like $2 to $3 just flipping if that's something you're into. So I think there's definitely value to it, no question about it. It's just how much, of course, like, what is your kind of intention? Are you wanting to open it? Are you wanting to flip it? Are you wanting to break down the packs? Like, there's so many different things that I would say with that. But $2.50 a pack, I mean, that was what wholesale was for the longest time. So you're getting it at wholesale pricing. So I would say it's a good deal overall when you look at it from that perspective. Hey Eli, with the fire you pulled from the Pogo ETB, are you getting bullish on Pogo? Seems like it just came out way too early. Well, Pogadad, I've always been like, how do I want to say this without sounding, how do I want to approach saying the statement? I am bullish on Pokemon Go, but I am not hyper bullish. I am bullish in the way in which I believe Pokemon Go is a set that people are going to hate on now and love in the future. And maybe love's too strong of a word. Maybe they're going to appreciate more over time. But when you look at a set like Shining Legends, set sucked, bombed out the gate. Didn't really have much in it. Over time, people loved it. One of the biggest things people hated was the test tube Mewtwo design. They thought it sucked. A lot of people didn't care for really the Shining cards. They thought they were kind of gimmicky. This feels eerily similar to people don't like the Alt Art Mewtwo design. They think it sucks. People feel as if the Radiant cards are kind of gimmicky. So it's a very similar vibe to it. And so I feel as if it could do extremely well over time. It's just going to need some time for people to kind of mull over it as it does become vintage and nostalgic to others. Single blister packs all will appreciate and give greater gains than most booster boxes, FYI. I mean, it's obviously hard to say that, Southern, because everything is so selective. So you can always pick and choose where some booster boxes will perform better than ETBs, some ETBs. I mean, so if you're saying across the board, I would have to do more research before I can even tell you the accuracy of that answer. But if you want to give reference that we can look at, I would love to have a conversation about that. What's your top ancillary product? Not the Arceus V-Box right now. So you're asking what my top product that I'm going to enjoy is that isn't a booster box or an ETB, and I can't choose the Arceus V-Box. I mean, does the Ultra Premium Collection count for Charizard? Oh, that's a tough one to say, man, because, I mean, you know my thoughts. Charizard UPC is awesome. The Arceus V-Box is great. So those are my two favorite. Outside of that, I mean, they haven't really done anything good. I guess it's nice that they've got a discounted rate for the Arceus V Premium Collection that they have at GameStop. They put that on sale and it's got, you know, metal cards. There's value in that. But in terms of any ancillary product that's like really special, I mean, what do we have here? Virizion V-Box, Infernape V-Box, Voltorb Hisuian box, or sorry, Electrode Hisuian box. So it's like, what really is there that's extremely exciting product that we can sit down and say that we enjoy? So that's why it's really hard for me to say other than those kind of three. Do you sell booster boxes now or wait until reprint announcements? I always at this point, so Steven, my philosophy has always been simple, and you guys can easily follow this model by just following my YouTube channel. I buy booster boxes, right? And I put up pre-order sales. Typically, I will have either some on reserve or I will have a second wave, being the fact that I have distribution, right? And when I have the product on second wave, I will sell before the release of the second wave, or if there's reprint news, I will get the product ahead of time, and then I will of course sell it before you see that market correction. So what I usually recommend for people is, if you are sitting on a product right now, right? Let's say that you bought, because I made a video about playing the waves. Let's say you watched that video and you got Silver Tempest booster boxes at $90, like you were able to when you watched the video. Well, booster boxes are now at $130 for Silver Tempest on TCG Player. You can, of course, sell it now, make profit, or what you can do is wait for when I make an announcement that there's going to be a Silver Tempest reprint, and then sell it right then and there when you watch the video, knowing that, or at least when, of course, yeah, I would say more than likely you'll get some sort of market reaction immediately after the video, or there already will be some calculated market reaction from other distributors, telling this information to other online retailers. So the point that I'm making is that as soon as there's news that there's going to be a reprint, then there's an expectation that booster boxes for that specific item are going to flatline and then correct once they hit the market. So putting up pre-sale pricing for that won't be typically available until it gets closer to the date. So if you have the booster box on hand and you're able to get ahead of everyone else by selling it, then that's usually the best time to do so, is once reprint news for that product comes out. Do you think set desirability or set scarcity is a big factor for price once it goes out of print? Well, I mean, you say desirability or scarcity, and you say or. Why can't I say and with that? Because they're both huge factors, right? I would say set desirability obviously is a huge factor, but if the product itself is printed into the, I mean, you can look at this twofold, right? Norwal, let's take XY era, for example, right? There was a huge desirability within the sets for both Roaring Skies and Evolutions. They got printed into the ground, and Roaring Skies was pushing $200 at one point, and then it got printed in the ground and went all the way down to the low 80s. Then it's now sitting at like $500, and that was something that happened over time because the demand was, of course, greater than the supply, and then that flipped, and the demand was still great, and of course over time it was able to recover, but it had a ton of supply to do so. Now, same concept with Evolutions. We see how much Evolutions booster boxes are going for, etc., etc. Then we, of course, move on to the inverse, right? A set such as Steam Siege. No one wants Steam Siege. Steam Siege sucks. Well, what's the current booster box price of Steam Siege? It's about $300. Obviously, if you look at the history of it all, which is the better end to be on, obviously is the demand side over the scarcity side, because Steam Siege, although it has of course made value, it has not performed, quote unquote, from a like dollar value perspective nearly as great as Roaring Skies and Evolutions. So that's what the side I'd prefer to be on. But you can obviously make an argument that both are extremely important, and if you can have both at the same exact time, then that's where you see these prices of $900, $1,000 booster box for XY era product. Sia, Eli is all knowing. I am not all knowing. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do you think Pogo is sealed is slept on or undervalued? Yes, no question about it. I think it's very easy to make an argument that sealed I mean, guys, let's take a look and see what Pokemon Go. And some people are gonna think I'm crazy for saying this, but okay, let's take a look at Pokemon Go Elite Trainer boxes, right? You can go pick them up right now off a case for $38. Wholesale at the time was $35 when it came out. So you're talking $3-4 above wholesale. That's an incredible deal. And now when you look at this set, I want to make a fun comparison with you guys, and some people are going to disagree with me, of course, because everyone's always going to have their opinions, but let's go take a look at a set like Shining Legends and let's go make some comparisons. They're not identical, obviously, but there's a lot of similar comparisons to make with the set. So if we go and we look at the just general singles for the set, right? Okay, let's take a look at this set as a whole. Get rid of sealed product and go and look at the cards. What are the most, of course, expensive cards in the set, right? It's the rainbows, it's the alternate art, it's the shiny, right? Well, what's the most expensive cards? It's the rainbows, it's the alternate art, it's the shiny. It's literally, oh, look, obviously the ordering's different. The alternate art here is more expensive versus here. And I wouldn't be surprised if this changed over time and it flip-flopped, right? People hated this design when it came out. People currently hate this design as it's come out. People didn't really care about this card when it came out. Personally, people don't really care nearly as much when it came out. Sure, now at this moment in time, it's more desired because people hate this alt art, but it'll flip, you know, it'll flip. Shiny, people really did not like the shining concept for the Mew and the Rayquaza. People do not like the Radiant concept for the Charizard, the Blastoise, and the Venusaur. Then, of course, you have other shiny cards involved, other rainbow cards people don't care about really. You've got other rainbow cards, other gold cards, and other alternate cards people don't care about. So the comparability between these two sets is extremely, extremely high or easy to do. So for me, when I look at this set as a whole and I compare it, I mean, how big is this set, right? 82 cards in Shining Legends. How many cards are in this set? 107. Even when it comes to the amount of cards in this set, there's roughly around, what did I say, 82 cards? So there's about 25 more cards. Considering the standard of how big the sets are in the current format, that is extremely small. That's like half the size of a typical set. And so that is why I feel like you look at it and you're like, wow, these are very, very, very similar sets. So for me, I look at it in that regard where I just feel like people are looking at this set the wrong way and they're truly sleeping on it. How many other times have we had a shiny Blastoise before? One other time. How many times have we ever had a shiny Venusaur before? Never. It's the one and only shiny Venusaur we've ever had. How many times have we had an alternate art Mewtwo? Never. This is the first time we've had an alternate art Mewtwo. Obviously, we're going to have a V-Star Mewtwo, but in terms of alternate art V Mewtwo, this will be one and only. So it's like there's a lot to really look at this set in terms of value that people are just kind of sleeping on, and you will see that reflected in the long term. Exactly. Pokemon Go is Dragon Majesty, or like I said, Shining Legends. That's why I like to compare that the most. I was thinking of stocking up and holding long-term. CUPC deal is really nice, but not ideal for me right now. And of course, no problem with that, Young Tuna. You do what you do, man. Anyone who buys the Pogo tins at $10 would be laughing in 2 to 4 years. I think that, you know, if you're getting good deals on Pokemon, you're getting good deals on Pokemon. Hot take, Pokemon Go common and commons and rares will do better than others long-term above, and will do worse as set seal. I mean, that'll be interesting to see. Let's take a look and see what the uncommons are doing right now, first and foremost. I mean, common, uncommon value. Let's take a second, because this, for some reason, loves to load. Here, let's get an uncommon. Maybe that'll take a second. Okay, for some reason it's showing the Ditto cards. But I mean, if you look at some of the uncommon cards, oh no, it's only showing me common cards. For some reason it's not showing commons. Well, isn't that bizarre? All right, let's go back and take a look. All right, there we go. So common card values, I mean, obviously it's a tiny set, but all things considered, it's not like it's pennies on pennies on pennies. There's some that are, I mean, the Squirtle, let's see what this lowest listed price is at, 11 cents. I mean, for a new set, that's decent. That's decent to have an 11-cent common card for Pokemon Go bulk. I'm just saying, guys. He brings up a good point. Did orders go in this week? Don't see any updates on order status. Are you referencing for, what are you referencing for, Big Papa? Are you referencing for the Charizard UPCs? Are you referencing for the allocation numbers for, Crown Zenith? I guess what you're referencing when you say that question. Maybe the Costco box will hella packs. Well, there is a Costco deal going on. If you are a Costco member, they're doing, I think, $29.99 for like a bunch of mini tins, and the mini tins themselves each one comes with like Evolving Skies. So I think the math breaks down to $3 a pack of Evolving Skies. So if you're interested, I would check that out. So you're getting Charizard UPCs for $75. $75. We're getting them for $75, and we get a mini tin for free, or a tin for free from Pokemon Go. How many you got or aiming to get? Well, they're on open order right now, Phantom. We literally we put in some orders yesterday, and we got 50 of them for people. So we've got as many as people want. Tom Piz, what's up, Tom? Thanks for stopping by. John says, where can I buy Charizard UPCs for less than $90? Through our wholesale program. But if I'm not shilling, which I obviously was with that comment. I don't know. I would check the deals link down in the Discord, because usually in the deals channel, people will help refer you to that. Or no reprint moons. That is also possible, Kevin. Yeah, across the board, one example is Plasma Storm blisters. They sell for more gains than Plasma Storm booster box and easier to sell. Yeah, but I guess the thing is compare that to nowadays Southern Rainbow, because you're having to have a conversation about the fact that the value of blisters were that much greater back then, because of course you were able to get a security blanket knowing you're not able to weigh those packs. But nowadays, where most packs aren't weighable, of course there are some here and there, but there's not as much value to the blisters because they don't prevent weighing, you know. Trying to get you to commit to which one is the bigger factor. Well, there's the answer, man. Demand. My guy Eli, what's up, Catchem? Good to see you as always. Good to see one of the regulars. Hopefully you're having a good day, brother. How long for Arceus GameStop UPC to go over 160 in your opinion? I do not have a crystal ball. I will never claim to have a crystal ball, so I wish I could answer that question, but I can't. Narwhal gonna be my competition for selling singles. Oh, so you're the low I keep matching on TCG player. That's so funny. Hey Eli, what do you see the bottom for V-Star Universe boosters? Is hoping for under $70 a pipe dream unless there's a print? Yes, I do think that is a pipe dream. I think it's really hard to say because with Japanese sets, they're completely different in the way in which they print things. I know that for the longest time, of course, for the longest time, that's such a dumb statement to say. For the shortest amount of time, they were sitting at around 60, 70 bucks, but that was like fractional time. I mean, they just keep going up, up, and up in value, and I don't expect them to stop. I think the only way that'll happen is if we get a reprint. All right. Also, my face, I need to like stand up more straight. I slouch a little bit, so my face is kind of cut off. I apologize for that. Sealed product is like the S&P fund of the Pokemon world, maybe even steroids. I mean, I was going on a rant all day yesterday talking about the opportunity to make returns compared to it, and so I feel like people missed out on that. I need the Shining Mew in a 10. Hey, it's dirt cheap. Shining Mew is a dirt cheap card. Yo, what's up, Roma Sheets? Good to see you for stopping by. Oh, Roma Sheets. I remember that name. Poke Department Store actually was referring me to one of your breakdown videos that you did, and I watched a little bit of it. Shout out to Roma Sheets. Do I lose value by opening a full case of product? Also kind of paranoid of getting scammed, so I'd like to look. No, you're not. Okay, you want to hear something crazy, guys? Are you wanting to hear something controversial? There is zero need to have stop tape on a sealed booster box case. I know people think stop tape is like this holy thing that means it's been sealed. You can go online right now and buy stop tape. It is not hard to do. So if you're really that concerned about getting booster boxes that are real, you can open up the case, and if you're like gonna get some skepticism because people are like, oh, it needs to have stop tape, you can just retake off the stop tape and then repeel it on, or you can just make the argument that I'm making. I'm not saying, of course, you know, it's moral to do one or the other, but what I am saying is that people need to get rid of this stigma behind stop tape as if it's like, I mean, perfect example. Like you bought a case of first ed booster boxes and Logan Paul got scammed. First and foremost, that was like one of the fishiest things I've ever seen. Like it almost felt like it was set up to be a scam. But even outside of that, the whole thing that they looked at was like, yo, the stop tape should be a perfect indicator that this is a real sealed product. Like, what kind of expert are you? Like, you can clearly tell that stop tape can be easily fabricated. That should not be a criteria. So I don't think I would be worried about it. If people make a fuss about it, they have absolutely no clue what they're talking about because it's so easy to fabricate. If you were someone that really wanted to scam someone with a fake booster box, and I'm not saying your booster box is fake, but I'm saying if someone wanted to do that, then, you know, it's not going to be a big deal. Does the distribution tier of Patreon also get access to the card database? It does not. So that's a completely separate tier. And so as it stands right now for the card database, that is something, and I'll explain why it's different. One, because the wholesale tier of itself for $50 is such an extreme value because not only are you getting access to Pokemon product at wholesale, but you're getting access to Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Wise, Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo at wholesale pricing. So you're basically, without having to own your own LGS, you're getting access to distribution for $50 a month. So it's an insane deal. So that's why, just off of a pure value perspective, why it's separate. But then second to that, we're having to hire people to run the profitability database or the card database, because we're currently working on a Discord bot for that. And so when you guys are, wanting to get consistent updates for that bot, get consistent updates for the card profitability data sheet, that's something that we're going to have to pay someone to do. And slowly that's something we're hoping is going to pay off in the long term, because the value that it's going to bring is insane. Obviously right now it's really just kind of base set is what the card profitability database, but as we consistently update and we're going through the beta testing of the bot itself, because we're in the Sheets version right now, and we're going to update it to the bot version when we go live with that. You guys that are part of the Discord, you guys will be able to beta test it. But it's going to be awesome, because it's going to literally be a bot that's just going to tell you what to invest in. Like, it's going to it's going to have an algorithm that's going to be calculated into it. There's going to be a list of commands that are going to have a really easy UI software, and it's going to tell you what the best investment is. So rather than spending hours upon hours trying to research whether I should invest in this, whether I should flip this to grade, etc., etc., it's going to say, this is a good card to buy and grade. This is a good, it's going to just tell you all of that. So you don't have to do any of the research. If you want to, you can, of course, but the moral of the story is, the idea of it is so that it's going to just make your life easier, because it's going to give you all the data in front of you. It's going to calculate general market cap. It's going to calculate general sales volume. It's going to calculate general weights for packs within generations, so that if you're interested on if your pack's heavy or light, it's going to have all those numbers for you. It's just a complete card database of information, right? We're eventually going to translate that into sealed as well, and we're going to continue to grow it from there. But yeah, that's kind of the whole concept of it. We're just currently in the beta stages. It's the sheet version, and then it's going to translate into the bot. But yeah, it's exciting. I love it. I think it's going to be awesome. And that's why it's completely separate, because they both hold their own weight in gold, in my opinion, and they both have their own value to them. That it just, obviously, some people will look at it and say to themselves, oh, I wish it was combined. But the value that they're both going to bring, in the long term, it's insane, So it's kind of like when you look at the wholesale program. With the wholesale program, it's a great deal right now, because you've got, of course, access to UPCs for dirt cheap and other product for dirt cheap. But some people might say, oh, it's not worth it because booster boxes are very scarce. But you bet that when booster boxes get reprint and a new set release happens, and there's going to be Evolving Skies booster boxes for wholesale, Brilliant Stars booster boxes available for wholesale, etc., etc., all of a sudden this is going to become extreme value. So it's really in the perspective of it. And with there being limited spots, that's where it's you have to be able to understand, you can't look this in the short term versus the long term, And so the same concept applies for the bot. People will be like, oh, it's only in the Sheets version right now. Well, I want it to be in the Discord bot version, so it's easier for me to just pull up the commands. But it's once again, you're looking at this as a long-term perspective in that regard. What's up, Roy? Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully all is well for you. But yeah, we also are looking into potentially doing combined tiers, but we're not there yet. The Patreon is literally a month and a half old, so we're still figuring the process out. So far things have been working smooth with the Patreon, but we're filling up really fast for it. So if it does end up selling out, then we might have to, of course, try and figure out a way to consolidate based off the demand. And what I mean by consolidate is if there's a way to get opportunities for people to join, if the demand is not overwhelming, or I have to hire someone else to do it, because I'm managing most of it myself at this time, and I get bombarded with 20, 30 messages a day, and having 20, 30 conversations a day is a lot. So it's if I can, of course, manage that myself by adding more members, then I will, and I might make it to where you have to do that combined cards plus wholesale deal, and then those that are in the wholesale will not have to, of course, choose to do both, or they can choose to do both if they want. Doesn't really matter to me, but we'll get there when we cross that path, What's up, Goliath Cards? Hopefully all is well with you. Thanks for stopping by. Bought a case of Pogo ETBs for $300 to hold. That is literally wholesale. Shout out to you on that one. Facebook Marketplace and get the Charizard box. Is that where you can get it for $90? Well then, if that is true, True Blue answers the question. Good day, Pokemart, he says. Thank you so much, SoundQuest, for the good day. Your opinion, what price do you see Team Up booster boxes reaching in the next 5 years? Really, really hard to say. Once again, don't have a crystal ball. But if we're having a conversation about the price, right? Team Up booster boxes are $900 to $1,000, I think, is what they're at around right now on TCG Player. Let's take a little bit of a look-see. What's the most recent sale? Let's be realistic here. Yep, they're about $1,000. Okay, so what is my current prediction? If we are making the argument that nothing were to change, inflation is not going to crush the economy, we're not going to, of course, go into recession, etc., etc. You could, of course, always make an argument that this could go up to $1,500 if nothing were to change, but there's so many, once again, different variables that you have to take into consideration. So it's really hard to crystal ball it, which is why I'm always going to be transparent about that. I can make predictions, but I can't tell you direct numbers and answers in that regard. But I can tell you correlations and trends will more than likely lead to based off of what's happening. So if things stayed the same, market stayed the same, $1,500 is very realistic of a price in the next 5 years. In Europe, appreciate the insight, brother. No problem. I was able to get a VMAX Climax for $60 last summer. If they reprint V-Star Universe, is it possible for the price to drop? Of course. I mean, more supply, equals an equilibrium within the demand where prices will go down. I buy Hidden Face ETB or a PSA 10 singles. From an investment perspective, the ETB is going to do better. But from a collectability perspective, come on, go singles. The stop tape looks fire, though. It does look fire, but you can always just do it yourself. Now we're learning how to reseal. Okay, that's not what the intention was, Steven. I was saying that to be careful. Yo, what the heck, John? Missed the start? Bro. I made you one of the OGs in the Discord, and you're going to have to act like it. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, as always, though, for stopping by. Obviously, bummed you missed the start, but I'm glad you're here now. Tom, is this a time to focus on older era sets instead of modern eras to invest in? That's a great question, honestly, Tom. I would say, personally, now is just a time for patience. At the end of the day, there is always going to be opportunities in the market. But if you feel as if the market is not truly presenting those opportunities to yourself, then just be patient. There's no need to jump the gun on certain products. There is, of course, some older vintage sets that are, you're going to find deals for like PSA 9 cards, whether it be Shadowless, whether it be First Ed, et cetera, right? You're going to look at pricing on that. And you're going to see, of course, opportunities in ultra modern, but you just still have to say what kind of is calling to you. What is a deal that you look at and you're like, this is such a good deal, I know that I just can't say no to it, right? Because that's the thing, is these opportunities shouldn't be something that you're just actively trying to go out of your way to acquire, right? It should be presenting itself to you. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that you learn from being an investor, is the market just hands them to you. And the times in which you're over leveraged, or the times in which you are, of course, being greedy, are the times when you miss out. So just to kind of give a good reference of an opportunity that we've seen with some older vintage cards, right? PSA 9 Lugia, at its highest point, it was selling at one point for around $10,000. The value of the card itself has just continued to plummet. If we want to go look at a no auction for the card, it sold recently for $2,000. On auction, it has sold for around $1,500. So it's like the price of this card has just continuously been on the decline. So, there's value if you look at it in that regard and say $1,500 for a Lugia 9 First Ed, and it's one of the holy grails in the 10 version. I mean, look at how the 9 performed. Like, the 9 had an absolute value, and it's almost an argument to say that it's retraced exponentially. So you're going to find these opportunities in older vintage cards that are still available, because WotC went up the most, and I feel like a lot of WotC has really crashed down because of it, because it's just having extreme pullbacks. But, like I said before, ultimately opportunities present themselves. Patience is a value and a virtue. So just, just whatever pops at you, man. What are you charging for booster boxes with this distribution deal? Whatever wholesale is. So if my distributor charges me $80, then it's $80. If they charge me $85, then it's $85. Pretty simple. So we've got 5 distributors right now. We're potentially going to expand to more. We could technically get 2 more right now, but with the way in which things are right now going with product and building up our allocation amount, we're trying to focus on a top we're trying to focus on funneling all of our purchases from like our top 2 to 3 so that we can build up allocations for high demand reprints and future sets. So that's why we're not really, how do I want to say this, interested in just jumping onto other distributors. But if there is, of course, a product that certain distributors have or others, then it will be a benefit. But we've got some distributors that are charging, you know, $85 a booster box. Some are charging $88. Some are charging 10% below market. I mean, it's different per distributor, but for the most part, I would say market value of wholesale is usually around what, you know, an $85 to $88. What is the average someone spends every set through your program? Oh, every set? Well, so we opened the program in November. And with that, we have obviously, we started the program shortly after Crown Zenith set releases. So I wouldn't consider Crown Zenith to be our first set release. Yes, we do have some Crown Zenith product on open order for wholesale pricing, but most of it was, of course, allocated out prior to us adding the distributors. So technically speaking, our first ever pre-sale release is going to be for Scarlet and Violet base set. But if you're talking about just average orders across the board, I mean, that's a hard one to say because we have that like top 4 or 5 of echelon of individuals that have spent anywhere between 5 to 10,000 accumulatively in the past month. Because the program itself is only a month and a half old, right? And then we have those individuals that have spent anywhere between $300 to $1,000. So I would say that it really just kind of ranges depending upon, I would say that the average, it really just varies, right? It could be anywhere between 300 to 1,000 to like 5,000 to 10,000. There's maybe a couple of people that are kind of in that in between where they've only spent like 2,000 or so, but like very few people. Usually you're kind of in the either upper echelon or lower echelon. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I'm going to spend $100 of product a month, then obviously that's not worth it for you. We will, of course, potentially look into future programs for those low budget spenders because I do want to always give people opportunities. I don't want people to feel like they're priced out because they don't spend a certain amount. But just from a logistical perspective for my own financial self, since I'm running the project, it just all by myself, having to manage creating orders between 100 different people versus 50, it makes it a lot less manageable, which is why I did create that price point, just because the $50 is just for my time. Like, I'm not making money off of selling you guys product at wholesale because it's wholesale, right? You buy it for what I'm buying it for and I pass that on to you guys. So the $50 is just for my time, more or less. So that's why it's hard, because I want people that obviously spend $100, $200 a month to get that opportunity. But realistically, unless you're spending at least $300 to $500 a month on Pokemon product, then it's hard for me to realistically say it's an opportunity that you should take. You know what I mean? But if you're someone that easily spends like at least a case on booster boxes, a case on ETBs a month, or, you know, a case on specialty product a month, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold for sure. What's up, Travis? Good to see you here as always, good sir. Hopefully you're having yourself a good day. John, how do you avoid getting scammed on high-priced items on eBay and sellers? I've heard someone, items not described, chargeback stories. Can you get USPS insurance on sealed product? You can get USPS insurance on sealed product, but typically it's not worth it. So when it comes to the seller protections by eBay are, of course, going to be covered by the fact that, hey, tracking shows that the item itself was delivered. If you are a buyer and it shows that the package was delivered, but of course the location that was given was not that of the location that was on your order, then that can be easily disputed, right? I've had an instance where I ordered a product from France. It was delivered to my town, but it wasn't delivered to my house. I was like, I know my UPS rep, and literally the guy that goes to my door every single day in my town, and I was like, yo, did you ever deliver a product like this? And he's like, no, I never delivered a product like this. I've never received a product like that. Went to the local UPS store. Nope, never heard of this product. We don't have this product. So I let them know, hey, The tracking number says this was delivered to my town. It doesn't say it was delivered to my front door. It said it was delivered. So you can easily dispute that. So if you are a seller, make sure the tracking that you're using says where it was delivered so you know. And if you're a buyer, once again, make sure you know where the tracking is delivered. The tracking is kind of the biggest thing to prevent yourself from being scammed. Now, if you are a buyer, of course, and you want to really kind of skip the process of knowing if they're a scam or not, look at their, of course, rating. If they've got a decent rating, by decent I mean typically 98% or better. If they're a newer channel, then obviously you want to go for that 100%. But if they're like a bigger channel, like they've done over 1,000 plus sales, then 98% is fine. And then if you are also wanting to know where they're shipping from, are they shipping from China? More times than not, it's a scam because they will send you some Chinese knockoff product. That's just from my personal opinion. Big Daddy, we'll see $50 V-Star. Universe. We wish, man. Where can I find this bot? It's not available right now. Like I said before, Young Tuna, we're just using the sheets right now. Poke Department Store says maybe I can go update in the sheets. Well, obviously, yeah, we'll definitely continuously update the sheets, but right now it's very much just the process of doing the bot. On the wholesale fulfillment sheet, will you update your order status when items are ordered or when received, trying to keep track on the list before the product comes in? If you actually want to message me about that, Big Papa, I can go through and I can let you know if it's been processed. But typically how I do it is, and I've said this before on the video, if you've watched the introduction to wholesale video, I will never, ever give you product, or I will never charge you for product unless I can give it to you. So if I haven't asked Big Papa for money, then I haven't, of course, given it. I haven't given it to you. Now, if you're saying obviously it's a pre-sale item, then I will, of course, continuously be updating that, but it's not going to be like immediate, right? Like I let people know that I got my allocation numbers for one of my distributors, but I'm not going to just immediately update. This is how much you have, this is how much you don't have, because I have to go through and I have to calculate how much each person has spent and I have to allocate it out like a distributor. So that's kind of why I'm doing it that way. And the only reason why I have to do it that way is because we missed pre-sales for Crown Zenith, so we were only to get half the Crown Zenith product we usually wanted versus for Scarlet and Violet base set, we're going to be able to get most of the product because we'll have got our pre-sales in at the right time, which we actually have some more product coming out. So if you are a part of the wholesale, I will be getting you guys pre-sales numbers for that soon. But if we go to Poke Beach, actually, we can have a conversation about what that new product is. They're going to come out with the Clara and Cyrus milk boxes. So we'll be having pre-sale orders for that relatively soon here if you guys are interested. But Lord Narwhal says, I might be able to help you with software stuff in exchange for wholesale access to the tier. That is, hey man, I am all about trades, man. I've got some agreements where I give people access to wholesale if they're a streamer and they just ship me their bulk. I've got agreements to where if you help me as an employee or software, that I'll give you access to wholesale. I am more than happy to do trades where if you help us in any sort of way, that I will give you access to things. So if you're like, hey Eli, I'm a software engineer, I will help you with this project, just give me wholesale product. Hey Eli, I'm a streamer that wants to get product to start my own streaming, can I get access to wholesale? I'll send you my bulk. I mean, I'm down to make any sort of agreement that where you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of relationship, or anything I can do to help you grow your business. And I'm, of course, getting compensated out of that. I'm here for that, man. The whole idea of Pokemart USA as a whole is so that we can create a culture and community of individuals that are all like-minded when it comes to wanting to not only start their journey, but help other individuals start their journey, whether it be as a collector, whether it be as an investor, whether it be as a LGS owner, whether it be as a online retailer. So like it's a community of individuals that all love Pokemon and they want to be involved in Pokemon in each and every aspect of it. So whatever I can do to help, or vice versa, man. Big Papa, I'm not trying to bombard you on Discord. Well, just give me a ping. Just give me a ping on Discord. Don't worry about it. I'm caught up on messages for the most part of the day. I only have like a couple I have to catch up on. So if you just give me a ping right now, I'll message you after the stream and we can of course figure that out. But yeah, I mean, anything we can do to help get the software for the project moving along faster would be great. Obviously, our main dev who's working on it, he would have to vet you because he's the man right now and everything. I mean, I'm giving him full control of it and he's crushing it right now. So he would have to, of course, give you the go ahead. But he seems like a chill guy. And if you just know general, probably binary, I think it would be pretty simple. Rudy feeling bullish on Pokemon? Of course Rudy's feeling bullish on Pokemon. Prices have gone up. And, well, he's always been bullish on Pokemon. It is like Rudy's speedrun, but way better. No, exactly. Already did. It'll be sold out in a week. It'll definitely be sold out soon. That's for sure. Sold 3K worth of slabs and bought 4K some Modern Steel booster boxes instead. Rip those slabs. That's the way to do it, man. Do you feel Pokemon's inflated or are there things valued correctly? I think that that's a good question too. I think that it really depends because once again, with everything, you can always point and say, this is overvalued. This is undervalued. Now, if you're saying Pokemon as a whole, is Pokemon as a whole overvalued right now or undervalued? I would honestly say you can look at it this way. Based on the fact that the way in which the market is going right now, not Pokemon as a market, but the US economy, I would say yes, Pokemon is overinflated. Now, when the recession occurs, which I think it's going to inevitably happen, then I will think it is undervalued. And then we're going to find that equilibrium at some point. But right now, I would definitely say for the most part, Pokemon is definitely in a phase where it's quite overvalued for the most part, I would say. Maybe some people will disagree with me on that, but I think there's still certain areas in the market that need to be overcorrected. I think Black and White is fine for the most part. I think Diamond and Pearl is extremely overvalued for a lot of both sealed booster boxes. And actually, you know what? I would say Black and White's overvalued. Black and White's overvalued. X and Y is overvalued. I would say Sun and Moon's overvalued. Diamond and Pearl Platinum era is overvalued. Heart Gold Soul Silver era is very overvalued. Like, I would say that the corrections that are being made the most right now are in the WotC era. They're starting to make the most corrections. But for the most part, every other era is extremely overvalued. I mean, maybe EX you can say is valued appropriately, but anything after that, I feel like there's just so many things that are overvalued. But once again, you can't just paint a brush broadly and say that's for everything. It's always going to be on a case-by-case basis. Do you want orders from different distributors or different order types, pre-order, open order, different sheets? So how I do it, Meta, is that when you go through, if you haven't already watched the video, how I want you to go through and do it is you literally just copy and paste the template into a Google Docs, and then you fill it out as what type of order it is and from what distributor. Doesn't matter. If it's from distributor 1 and it's an open order, you say it's from distributor 1 and then you highlight it in green as an open order. Simple as that, right? And then I go through, look at your sheet, and then if I see that you have something on open order, I say, hey, it's on open order. Let me call my distributor, get you the product, give you a price quote for everything, and then we order it for you. Simple as that. If it's on pre-order, obviously we wait until the product gets reprinted or of course comes out. And then if it's on back order means it's just waiting for a reprint. So I will keep you noted when that happens, obviously. Yeah, I wish when I found your page be the first 10K. Hey! Well, I mean, where are we? I'm just curious. Wait, let me read that one more time. Yeah, I wish I would have found your page be the first 10K. Well, I can't tell if you're referencing the YouTube channel or not because obviously we're still under 5K. We're about to get there. We're pretty soon, actually. So opportunity. Helping my sister take out her Christmas tree. I sent you a message on Discord. Right on, brother. But yeah, man, we're not at 5K. Hey, let's get to 10K. That'd be sick for our YouTube channel. Do you think the Trick or Trade booster bundles are a good long-term investment, or do you think they will be reprint every fall? If they do reprint them every fall, they will just be different packs. So I think they're a cool niche opportunity. How do you think CZ will perform compared to Celebrations? I think that CZ will be one of the best performing sets. I think Celebrations, however, will all... Oh, that's a great question. I think there's an argument to be made that from a set perspective, Crown Zenith is better than CZ, but CZ... is better than Celebrations, but Celebrations could still perform better just based off the fact that Celebrations as a whole is a specialty set that only comes out every 5 years. So the nicheness of that could honestly, or I shouldn't say the nicheness, but the value of that truly could cause it to perform better than Crown Zenith. So I want to say that my gut tells me Celebrations is going to perform better, but from a pure set to set perspective, I think Crown Zenith is better. So it would make more sense if Crown Zenith performed better. Found it, but what's the turnaround time after I order on wholesale shipping wise? So it depends on where you live, obviously. But so how it typically works, Goliath cards, is it's structured in however you want to do it. If you want me to combine shipping rates, then I can, of course, hold on to the product for you. I think we hold product up to 2 to 3 weeks. After that time, then you have to, of course, pay our monthly fee, which you have to join the Patreon for that. It's like $12 a month for storing a ton of product. But if you're not holding it for more than 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to be fine. But turnaround time for if you're not wanting to hold it and combine shipping and you're like, just ship it immediately, it typically is 2 to 3 days to get from distro to our LGS location or to me. And then from there, it's typically going to take an additional 2 to 5 days, depending upon where you live. Our location for our local game store is in Oregon, and then our second location is in Arizona. So depending upon, of course, where you live, it's going to be faster one place or another. Now, if you're saying, oh, well, I live in Washington, can you ship it from your Arizona location or your Oregon instead of Arizona? We can't pick and choose. Distributors are going to ship to certain locations over others because it's cheaper for them. So it really just comes down to, obviously, whether it works out from which distributor you purchase from. But if you're like living like West Coast, it's not going to change a huge difference that much, like maybe a couple extra bucks here and there. And then same concept is going to apply for if you're East Coast. Just in general, since the states are basically 2 states away, you'll save a little bit, but not enough to where you should really be concerned if you're doing volume. But yeah, typical turnaround time, 2 to 3 days from distro to either of our locations, and then from there 2 to 5 days. So, 5 days to a week business, of course, not any day, just business days. Hey Eli, when did Pokemon start putting old packs in new product? Do you think they will do more of this? Well, see, that's the thing, Patrick, is in our mind, it's old product, but in reality, the situation, it's not really old product. It's just that the demand has gone up so much that it feels like older product, right? Pokemon for the longest time, I remember having blisters of EX era product with Diamond and Pearl era product, blisters that had Heart Gold, Silver era product and Diamond and Pearl era product. And so having, packs of older generational stuff is very, very, it's not uncommon, right? Having XY era packs with Sword and Shield era packs, having Sun and Moon era packs with XY era packs, very, it's not out of the norm. Now, if you were to say a WotC era pack with a Diamond and Pearl era pack, obviously, but typically within a generation is usually what's accurate. But XY was a little bit of a different situation because the demand for XY product was extremely, extremely low, and the amount of it that was printed was extremely, extremely high. So they just had so much of it overflowing that they just continuously were able to put it in product to just get rid of it. So that's why you saw evolutions just get printed into the ground and thrown in every product. So it wouldn't surprise me if in future sets we're going to see, out the gate some Sword and Shield era and Scarlet and Violet era, booster packs in product together. It's just not going to surprise me. It's usually the back end, though, where I would say that it becomes less likely, but it still happens because if you look at Cosmic Eclipse, of course, that's still being thrown in product even to this day. If I buy 2 cases or 2 cases, what does shipping look like? I can't answer that, P. It really just depends, man. Shipping, so if you're just wanting to know how the general structure works, first and foremost, certain distributors you will get, so I have to obviously ship it from my location to you guys. So certain distributors will be different in their structures. Certain distributors will have fees, certain distributors will not have fees. Certain distributors will have free shipping, certain ones will not. So that is always going to change. Now, in terms of fluctuation on pricing to ship, it really just depends, obviously, where you live. If you're going to, just to kind of give for reference, if you're going to buy $50 worth of or 50 pounds worth of product, right? That could cost you anywhere between $35 to $80, depending upon where you live. But when you think about it, okay, what is 50 pounds worth of product, right? Well, if you're saying a booster box is going to roughly weigh around, or a booster box case is roughly going to weigh around 12 pounds, then it's about 50 pounds is going to equate to about 4 booster box cases. So let's say on the higher end, right? Let's say on the higher end, you're paying $80 to ship because you live in like New York or you live in Rhode Island, right? And you're buying 4 cases worth on a consistent basis. Outside of whatever the distribution cost is, when if you get free shipping, then usually it's going to add an additional $5 or so. If there's, of course, just a shipping fee or a handling fee. If we're just talking general shipping rate, it's going to typically say, all right, you're getting 6 times 4 booster boxes, 24 booster boxes, and it's going to cost you 80 on the high end. You're paying 80 divided by 24, $3.30 a booster box, right? But if, of course, you live on the West Coast and you're buying that many and you're putting it in the range of 40 to 60 bucks, let's say on the low end, $40 divided by 24, you're paying $1.60 or maybe $2 a booster box. So, I mean, the shipping itself is like, if you're ordering in large quantities, it's like you're gonna feel it very little, right? If you're buying a booster box at 85 bucks and you add on an additional, $3 or $4 when you include shipping, any sort of fees, or if there's no fees, just a handling, well, there's always going to be fees, whether it be a handling fee or just a processing fee, whatever. That's just how distro works. It's really going to add about an additional $3 to $4. So realistically, you're buying booster boxes all together for around 88, 89, maybe sometimes 90 bucks, but it's closer to 88, $89. So it's like that's kind of how it works in terms of general pricing if you're trying to just combine everything together. But if you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm getting booster boxes at $88 instead of $85, what a tragedy, then obviously it's not a program for you, because $3 shouldn't make the difference, because in terms of like general individuals that are part of the program, like they're extremely creative in the way in which they sell things. And so of course you can always find value if it's a high demand item and just flipping it sealed. But we've got people that break down product and sell off singles. We got people that break down product and sell off the bulk. A perfect example I gave earlier today in the Discord was, we've got one guy that all he does is he sells ultra premium collections on Amazon, and he literally sells the playmats, the dice, the promos. He gets enough value where he makes money purely selling off of that, and then he just opens the packs for free because he can break down the entire value of it all. And rather than, let me go sell a UPC for $100 and then have fees and shipping costs into it. No, you don't just do that. You can't just do that because that's the only way to do it, right? You can literally get creative by breaking down product and selling the bulk or whatever. You have to be able to get creative with it. So you can't just think so, it's just not that black and white. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I always let people know, like, hey, we've got people that are using our program and running a full-time business, and they're making a ton of money doing it. But at the same exact time, they're doing it a certain way that you're going to have to either find a model that works for you or create a model that follows someone else's very similar. You know what I mean? I'm thinking the Pokeball tins on the Pokemon Center might be the last retail product with Cosmic. I think you're 100% right, John. I mean, Cosmic is starting to very much scarce out, so that's just kind of how it is. Bro, from the UK, is there an estimate how much shipment will affect wholesale prices? Let's say I spend at $1,000 per month. So Uzman Mohammed, so how much you spend does not affect what the shipping cost is going to be. The shipping cost is outside the US. It's purely based on how much it's going to cost in terms of shipping weight and dimensions. So what we just recently did, and I made this announcement at the start of the video, we just recently created a partnership agreement with a company that gets 85% off discounted rates shipping outside the US. So what you're going to do, and if you join the wholesale program, then obviously there will be an introduction video to how you can do that as someone that lives outside the US. But you're going to create an account with them. You're going to use our discount code so that you're getting that discounted rate using shipping through them, and then of course ordering through us. And then you're going to get 85% off whatever the typical rate would be if you were trying to ship it yourself, right? So a perfect example is if you're trying to ship, let's say, a 50-pound box to Australia, it's typically going to run you around $1,200. Well, if you use their shipping program, it's going to cost you about $300. And when you think about that and you're saying to yourself, $300, you might say, oh my gosh, that sounds like a lot to ship out if you're, of course, going to Australia. Now, if you're in Canada, if you're in the UK, that's going to be cheaper, right? Because we're, it's just going to be cheaper shipping it to you guys from there. Probably going to be closer to 200, 250 bucks, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And most people aren't ordering 50-pound boxes. You know, some people are going to order 20-pound boxes, which that's going to cost you 100 bucks. And there's so many different ways to go about doing it, right? But the point that I'm more or less making, right? Market rates in the UK and other places are obviously a lot more expensive. If you are buying booster boxes from us in the United States at 85 bucks a pop, right? And it's going to cost you $300 to ship. If you're buying 24 booster boxes, just for the sake of the argument, it's going to add an additional $12.50. Do the math there. You're basically paying roughly around 95 to 100 bucks a booster box after that. Most of the time, booster boxes, from what I've been told, over in the UK and outside of the United States, are going for 120 pounds, 130 pounds, 150 pounds. So the value of you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm getting it 100 bucks. Well, to my knowledge, from what my UK and outside of, you know, the UK, other European followers have told me, is that it's impossible to find booster boxes under 100 bucks. So you would still, after math wise, be generating a ton of value by using this program. So that's kind of the general metric. I would recommend that if you're trying to really maximize value, obviously, the more you ship at once, the better value it's going to be to ship. And of course, this is not including any sort of custom fees. That is something I have absolutely zero idea of, because it's so different per country. So that's something you guys would have to negotiate with the shipping company that you guys will be using through. But, you know, end of the day, you're still getting a massive discounted rate, cheaper than you're going to be able to get anywhere else. So that's kind of an opportunity that we're going to be giving to individuals outside of the US. I bought from a Venmo business called Battle TCG, and they would not provide tracking, asking multiple times, and then blocked me. Called credit card companies to hold transactions. Well, I would say that the first thing is, if they're using Venmo, it's... I'm not trying to say that if you use Venmo, it's a scam, because don't get me wrong. But typically speaking, I would say that for us, we use Zelle, we use PayPal, we use... Wise or crypto, depending upon if you live in the US versus outside the US. If you live in the US, we typically ask for PayPal or Zelle. If you live outside the US, then we typically ask for Wise or crypto. Wise has very low fees, it structures well. And if you, of course, have been a part of the community for the longest time, you know that I'm reputable. I've done 5,000 to 10,000 sales when it comes to the history of our channel as a whole. So we're very reputable. So and you can ask people that are in the wholesale program right now. They will give you reference to the product they've purchased, because we've already shipped out quite a bit of product so far. I love it when they call me people. How would you protect yourself from a buyer saying they received the wrong card? Sold a Lugia Altart, the buyer said they got a Lugia V, and PayPal sided with the buyer. Well, that's extremely difficult, because I feel like you would have to, in order to protect yourself, I know this sounds like a pain in the butt, but sometimes, one, you have to take the L on that. Sometimes, if you're a new customer, it's extremely difficult, because you don't have that credibility being a larger seller. And so if you have higher ratings, for example, they do give you priority, because who are they going to trust? A guy that's got 2 ratings as a buyer and a seller, or a guy that's got over 10,000 ratings with them, right? There's going to be some favorability there. But if you're saying take all of that out of consideration, then obviously at the end of the day, the like worst case scenario is you literally take a picture of the card every step of the way, so that if something happens, hey, I have picture proof that I sent this card. Sounds like a pain in the butt. You don't want to have to do it, but it's still for higher end items recommended. If it's a $1 to $2 card, $5, $20 card, big whoop. It sucks. It happens in business. People are going to scam you. And that's just the sad reality of it. But if it's like a $200 to $1,000 card, you take pictures before you ship it, so that if this doesn't go well and he ends up scamming you, you have picture proof of the box being shipped, as well as the picture of the product itself. I've done that before, and I've won cases that felt like they were unwinnable. But because I had all of that proof and backlog showing that I did indeed ship the product, I won the case, and there was nothing they could do to dispute it, because what are they gonna do? Like, you just can't. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've worked as a software engineer for the past 6 years and enjoy dabbling and stuff. Well, heck yeah, man. It sounds like we want you a part of the program. Message me about that, Narwhal. I'll like all your videos in exchange for Wholesale 2 access. He's like, I'll enter into all your giveaways. That's so funny. I'll leave a like comment on all your videos for an opportunity to win 10 booster packs. That's so funny. What's your opinion on the Brilliant Star Charizard v Altard? What is my opinion on it? I would say it's valued appropriately for what it is. I would say now some people might find that controversial and say that it's completely undervalued, but I think that it's actually valued appropriately, and I think it will be undervalued when it gets a reprint because it's probably going to crash. Evolution singles under or overvalued? I mean, they're once again valued appropriately. I mean, the set was printed into the ground, and so there's an absolute high supply of evolution singles. Now, you can make an argument that the graded singles for evolutions are expensive because when you look at the value of some of the 10s compared to, you know, some of the unlimited cards, but even then, there's some that are like pretty cheap, honestly. How does a booster box appreciate per year before the Logan Paul boom? Let's see. What's a good example of an appreciation? So you had a Diamond and Pearl booster box of Majestic Dawn, which was valued at like $80 when it first came out, and then in 2016 it went all the way up to $300. So if you do the math, or it was like $320, right? So if you say to yourself, the booster box went from, so 320 divided by, we'll say 80. It's about a 400% return in the span of 8 years. So that's what I would say was realistic over the long term. So that's why we always say 5 to 10 is kind of the best way. Sometimes we'll say 3 to 5, obviously, but if we're talking 3 to 5, we usually are saying to just double your money. That's what it usually is, because I think in 2012 to 2013, I want to say, is when the booster box went up to like 140, 160. So, but it was really when the Pokemon Go bubble happened where a lot of older products started to pop off. So that's the thing, is we can sit here and say, oh, it's going to yield 10% year over year, but that's typically not how it works. Typically how it works is when the bull market comes, then that's when all that value and appreciation happens all at once. That's just averaged over time, obviously. Bro, we're already in a recession. Have you seen the price of eggs? People are broke as heck. Credit card usage is out of control and savings. Yes, I understand what you're saying, John, and I agree that we're in an inflationary spiral, but in terms of a true recession, by definition, we are still on the brink. It's not fully happened. So a recession is defined as 2 negative quarters of GDP growth. We hit that, and then we had a third quarter that was positive GDP growth. Now, do I think that's a fluke? Yes, 100%. I think it's a fluke. But in a recessionary period, you're not seeing that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? True market correction when it comes to housing prices. There needs to be a correction that's going to happen. Some people are like, oh, look, housing prices, they've corrected by 5 to 10%, depending upon your market. That must mean that it's just a small, slight bump. Prices are just going to go sideways and up. No, that's not what's going to happen. You're going to see market price corrections for housing anywhere between 15 to 20% is kind of my prediction, right? So one of the biggest things I've been following, I live in Arizona. So for those people that are interested on where I'm getting these metrics from, but I live in Arizona over in the kind of Maricopa County. So I follow the active median listing prices, the average listing prices, the median days on the market, and what that looks like, right? And so I'm consistently monitoring how this has been resulted on. So this is housing inventory, median days on the market. So in May of 2022, it was at an all-time low where houses were on average 22 days on the market. But if you really were talking about high demand, some houses were on the market for a week, a couple days, a couple weeks, but this was just the median average. So as of last November, that is skyrocketed up to 58. Of course, we should get an update for this relatively soon here, probably in a week, because we need to get December's metrics, but I'm following the numbers as the median housing average is continuing to skyrocket. Same concept applies if we're trying to watch and see what the overall median listing housing price is, right? Okay, well, we saw its overall top out sometime in May or June at 550, and now you're seeing it as of last November at 477. Sure, it's still going down, right? Like the average median listing went from 45 to 477. That's like an $8,000 drop, but that's not like, oh my gosh, it dropped 10% in a month or 20% in a month. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying we're still not at that long-term like downturn effect, right? We're still waiting to see that kind of long-term downturn effect over the history of it all. And I think that's going to be indicative of about a 10-month period. So if we can, I don't think I can pull up, obviously I can just pull up the 5-year on this chart. It's not showing us more than that. I mean, if we want to go, we can of course look at longer housing statistics, but if you just look at the general market recession chart and just go history of US housing market, then obviously you can just see what the general housing market chart, history of US chart, then obviously we can take a look at that and just see history of housing market statistics over the span of time. So if you guys remember, right, if we're just saying that the history of the housing market chart, the current level of housing starts at around, this is how many homes, where's the price value? I want to see what the price value is. I mean, we could really break this down if you guys really care, but history of US housing market prices. All right, here we go. This is the statistic you want to look at, right? So you take a look and see 2007, right? And then the financial collapse occurs. The housing market prices, and let's actually zoom this in a little bit. Zoom this in, right? So we know that the general housing prices on a general average dropped roughly around, I mean, gosh, 257,000 all the way down to 208,000. To 50, I mean, that's a 25% down. Like, that's a lot. And that's just on an average. I mean, you're talking most homes were realistically losing about 30 to 40% home valuation. So it's like, we're not anywhere close to that as a general average, right? So that's kind of my whole thing with that. But anyway, we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna move on from that because we're losing people. What's up, big dog? What's up, Colmaine? Hopefully all is well with you. Thanks for stopping by. Bro, I love Arizona. What's your store name? We don't have a store location. We just have a shipping location in Arizona. Our store location is actually located in Oregon. Shipping, y'all got to step up your comic book stores. Right? What's up, Justin? Hey, how are you doing, Justin? Love you. Hey, love you too, Justin. Hopefully all is well with you. How are you doing, brother? Feels like it's been a while. Yo, thanks for stopping by as always, Trainer Mason. Have a good one. I don't see how Charizard UPC wouldn't perform well. Charizard aside, you get exposure for all of those different sets. Yeah, I don't know. People are sleeping on it, man. I had to take the loss. I showed them my TCG player and eBay accounts with over 1,200 sales, 99% feedback, and they still sided with them. They even had an unverified address on PayPal. Right, and exactly. And that's the thing, is at that point, what you have to do for high demand items is you got to, of course, take pictures, proof, and try and, of course, protect yourself as much as you can. Or what you do is if you see the seller itself or the buyer itself has 0 ratings and there's no sort of credentials behind them, you can, of course, always cancel on them, or you can always have some form of way to protect yourself before you decide who you're shipping with. You still have the freedom to sell whoever you want to sell to, and you can explain that to eBay as to why you don't want to do that. Whichever, of course, you feel like protect yourself the most. We just got an overload about Charizard products, so I don't think every product Charizard will do well in the future. Everyone's also keeping Zard products sealed. Not true at all. I mean, when it comes to Charizard, it's going to perform extremely well in the long term. history has always shown us that strong characters will always be strong characters. And so when you look at Charizard as a whole right now, you might say we feel overloaded, but in the future, Charizards are going to do Charizard things. And then outside of that, if we're just having a conversation overall about, I'm going to actually lower my face a little bit just because I feel like my chin sometimes goes out of the frame. Yep, there we go. And if we're saying to ourselves too, I've heard this argument so many times, people are holding on to sealed product more now than they were before. It's not true. It's scalable. People are holding on just as much as they were before, and there's even an argument they're holding on less. So it's like, that's all just speculation people are making out of nothing. As a normal collector, tired of seeing constantly Zard UPC stuff, I always want to collect other Pokemon. Right, and that's the thing, Brent, is that is you, but most people are not thinking that way. It's kind of like, how do I want to explain this? As someone who's a huge fan of Call of Duty, I always am like, yo, I really hate how they have skill-based matchmaking. I really hate how they do something this way versus this way. Well, that's the thing, is they're trying to cater more towards the casual competitor that is going to bring in the most money through microtransactions. I am not one of those individuals, right? Now, there are ways in which they could add product that would allow me to, that would entice me to spend microtransactions. But overall, if they know they're making money off of a current model, they're going to continue that model even if it neglects a certain base of individuals. That's kind of the same product when it comes to Pokemon. They know Charizards sell, they know Charizards work, they're going to keep doing it even though you might not like it. That's just what everyone else likes, and that's just the sad reality of it all. Do you have the Precious Collection Pikachu box? Do you think it will go to 400 in English, or would you stock up on Crown Zenith ETBs? I mean, I'm definitely stocking up on Crown Zenith ETBs. That feels like a pretty easy one to answer. That feels like a tough one to answer. That's tough, Makina, especially if you ask a refund. Yeah, exactly, dude. It sucks, man. Every time I get cash, I'm like, ew, get away from me. And I invest it, right? Hey, be smart with your investments. You think the VMAX Double Dragon Premium Collection will do good since the Rayquaza, but only problem is that they are reprints? No, they won't do well. I mean, there's nothing special about them. They're just reprinted cards with reprinted items that aren't special or unique in any way. If they had some sort of uniqueness to it, they could have done well, but sadly not. Hey all, once I've been scammed by eBay seller with 0 ratings, however I contact eBay support terms, they refunded me $300. Take some time, but they will refund you. First step is someone in SCA. Yeah, another thing I would definitely recommend to try and protect yourself, Makina, is just keep calling back. Keep calling back until you get the rep that's going to fight for you. Because there's been times where I've called it first, someone says that there's nothing they can do, and then I call another rep, and the other rep was like, yeah, I don't know what that person was talking about. Let me help you out. So I always call back at least a couple of times just to see. So it's worth a shot. So yeah, that's kind of what I would definitely recommend with that. Have you tried to buy off of Facebook Marketplace and Facebook groups? I have. I actually buy from Facebook Marketplace and Facebook groups quite frequently. I love it. I think it's great. I mean, in terms of getting scammed, if I'm being honest, it's extremely difficult to get scammed off of Facebook Marketplace or Facebook Marketplace groups. But let's say hypothetically you are, well, I always do gifts and services. Gifts and services has always been something I've done through PayPal, and it's always protected me. And very rarely does it happen, but it happens sometimes. Last year I won $550 in fantasy basketball and bought a case. Hope I can repeat this year. Hey, shout out to John. I made it to the semifinals this year in my fantasy football league. I was so mad. Oh, I got cucked at the very end. I usually am pretty good at when it comes to fantasy football. I made it to the finals last year. I helped my buddy get to the finals the year before, and then I got to the finals 3 years in a row prior to that. So it was like, or 2 years in a row, I think. I can't remember. But basically in the last like 5 years, I think my worst place I've ever had was like 4th maybe. So it's like, I'm usually pretty good at fantasy football too. That's kind of my thing. So shout out to you on that one. It's always fun to play fantasy related things. There's just so many analytics involved in it, and I like that aspect of it. It's fun. Pokemon Go trainer case for under $400 or modern booster box at $130 for my weekly investment. For your weekly investment? Well, John, you can probably get that $400. I mean, what you can probably get a Pokemon Go booster or Elite Trainer box for probably cheaper. I mean, right here you can get yeah, if you're adding fees. I would say honestly, John, find the best value you can get. If you're going to say each booster box, right? I would say look for Vivid Voltage is kind of one of my favorite ones I would recommend, and see if you can get it for like 105, 115, around that price range through a marketplace group. If you can try and grab it at that price, then I think you can find yourself some real good value. Now, if you can find alternatively a Pokemon Go ETB box for 35 bucks a pop or cheaper, then go with that. But that's what I would recommend. Whichever you can come to first, that's what I would say is what I would choose between the two. But what is Vivid Voltage even on here? I mean, Vivid Voltage on here is selling for 135 basically. Yeah, so finding it at 115, I mean, that shouldn't be hard at all. Or cheaper. Not financial advice, right? Hey Eli, how's the new year going? What's up, Gennaro? New year is going actually really well. There's so many projects that we're bringing to Pokemon USA, and there's so many different things that I'm going to be doing with the business. New year is off to a great start. It's off to a busy start. So we've got a lot of things that we're going to be doing, and I'm just really excited about it. I'm pumped about it, and so many things we're going to be doing to help bring a lot of value to the community. And that's what I'm excited about the most, because at the end of the day, although I love Pokemon and I, am going to make a business out of it and make money off of this, the reason why I do all of this is because for me, there's a lot of things that I feel like the Pokemon community is missing out on, and anything I can do to help provide that missing out, whatever it is people are missing out on, I think is something that is going to be awesome to be a part of, right? Anything that I feel like can really make the overall experience that people have with Pokemon just improved is what I want to do, because I'm passionate about Pokemon. I love Pokemon. I love the Pokemon community. Better set, Darkness Ablaze or Rebel Clash? Better Darkness Ablaze, yeah, for sure. Darkness Ablaze is definitely a better set than Rebel Clash. Well, I don't know, actually. That's kind of a funny statement to say. I don't know, man. I think that from an investment perspective, Darkness Ablaze, but from a set purely like comparing 1-to-1, I guess technically Rebel Clash is a better set, sadly, as crazy as it sounds to say. I remember I sold a piece of clothes on eBay. The person asked for a return and they sent back a pack full of, hey bro, I've had that happen before, trust me. Just sent some message. I don't have a rating like other sellers, but yeah. You can get product for 50 to 70% off the price sometimes. Only problem is meeting up. Well, that's the thing is like with eBay, with Facebook Marketplace or Facebook groups. With Facebook groups, you obviously don't meet up, but yeah, with Facebook Marketplace, meeting up is something that you're gonna want to do first. I know the Zard is a strong character and sells well, but you got tons of other Pokemon that can be strong too. And I agree with you, Brent. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's just what the Pokemon does, because I'm just explaining the rationale for why the Pokemon company does what they do. What's up, Tom? Welcome back. Welcome back. Unfortunately, you gotta leave. Thanks for the stream. Don't forget to like, guys. Well, it's always nice to see you as always, see ya. Thank you so much for stopping by. Rebel Clash. Everyone get hyped for Rebel Clash. Best set of all time. Right? Right? Isn't that the best set of all time, ladies and gentlemen? Everyone loves themselves some Rebel Clash. Oh my gosh. I mean, let's take a vote, guys. Let's take a vote. When we all look at this set, right? Let's take a look at Darkness Ablaze. Darkness Ablaze. What is there to see in this set from a cards perspective? Okay, we've got ourselves an amazing, awesome, awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping Charizard VMAX. And if you don't want the Charizard VMAX, like, oh, I don't care about Charizard VMAX, whatever. Salamence, Caesar, Eternatus, couple of gold and rainbow cards, crazy, and gold capture energy. So, I mean, come on, guys. How do you not get hyped up about that as a set, right? If you're saying, Eli, the set sucks. Okay, I'll show you a better set. Rebel Clash, baby. Rebel Clash. What does this set have? It has everything. It has a Sonya waifu card. Boss's Orders of Giovanni, Scoop Up Net, Ninetales. I mean, it's kind of hard, honestly. They're so close to one another. I guess, I don't know, man. Maybe Darkness is better. I mean, if you say, oh, look, there's a Sonya and a Boss's Orders, and I value that more than the Charizard combined, then yeah, of course, you go with that, but that's kind of a tough one. That's kind of a tough sell. Steam numbers been good. I have been following it, Tyrone. I like Crimson Invasion personally, Travis says. I think you're a man of culture, Travis. That's what we all know. Rebel Clash is the best set of all time. Changed my mind. I won't even stop you, brother. When Crimson Invasion buyout. Bro, Crimson Invasion buyout. Man, that was such a goofy stream. That was so funny. With EX Era returning, should we be picking up and holding EX Era cards like Ruby and Sapphire? So you're basically asking from a nostalgic perspective, will EX cards really pump up the value of EX? I think that's a hard argument to make because I feel like the thing is with EX Era versus EX cards is you have to have some sort of sentiment of nostalgia being brought back. And I don't feel like EX cards in the modern sense are really bringing that because you just put an EX next to it. Now, I could be 100% off base on this, but just kind of what I feel. When I see EX cards, I don't think, oh my gosh, it's the OG EX card design. I think more of, oh, it's just the XY Era 2.0 EX. So that's kind of where I look at it. So maybe there's an argument to be made that, you know, EX eras from the XY are better. But still, even then, I feel like that's so speculative to even say. I like Trainers and Rainbow cards. Boss's Orders. I mean, Boss's Orders is cool. Yo, Babe Cakes made it. It's about time. Only an hour and 45 minutes late. What the heck? No, I'm just kidding. Glad to see you here as always. Rebel Clash to the moon. Rebel Clash to the moon indeed. I mean, if we are being serious though, guys, considering the fact of the matter that if you look at the first half of the Sword and Shield era product, how much do you think it's going to really cost you to collect all of Darkness Ablaze, right? Like, if we go through and we look at the cards, the most expensive card in the set's $36. Then everything after that is either at or below $10. So realistically, if you want to master set this, it's only going to cost you a couple $100. And then if you say to yourself, Rebel Clash, and you go and look at that set, right? You've got the top two cards, which are each valued at over $20. Or sorry, the top three cards that are each valued over $20. And then you've got two cards that are valued at each around 15, and then three cards actually. Wow, okay, so there's more valued cards actually in Rebel Clash. So, I mean, if you want to go off of that perspective, I think Rebel Clash technically has more value than the Darkness. But still, easily, you could collect this entire set for probably around $300. I mean, that's dirt cheap by today's standards. So, like, it's pretty cool to see that there's some value to still be had in collecting cheap. Even if you might sit here and say this set sucks, blah, blah, blah. It's still nice to know that there is some affordability in the Sword and Shield era when it comes to sets. But let's be honest here. No one really cares about either of the sets. If there's a set that we all love, that we all think has opportunity in the long term, it's gotta be Vivid Voltage. And yeah, it's gonna have one big card that's gonna be expensive, but if you look at every other card in the set, you've got one or two other cards that are valued at around $10 or more, and after that it just is kind of cheap. So it's like you can find value still in these earlier sets, or even Shining Fates, man. So if you look at anything past Shining Fates, that's where things start to go up in value, obviously, right? Shining Fates, Charizard after Charizard, everything's dirt cheap, but like Battle Styles, for example, Battle Styles, $100 card, $65 card, $40 card, $30 card. Like, yes, things are expensive, and that's Battle Styles, and people always crap on Battle Styles, but like, ultimately, it's still a pretty expensive set. Everyone, Darkness Ablaze buyout, Rebel Clash buyout, everyone in their buyouts. I don't like the arts of the new EX eras that are released until now. They're too much. Maybe they need to keep it more simple. Well, another thing to keep in consideration, Brent, we don't know what those cards are truly going to look like yet when we like see them in person. And not to mention, too, we haven't even seen any of the special designs. So I definitely am holding my reservations for how I think they're all going to look like until we get a true base set release for Scarlet and Violet. Are we ever getting a Bidoof Ultra Premium collection? If the Pokemon company wants to troll us for our money, yeah. Is it true the majority of distributors are running out of booster boxes? It is true, Babe Cakes. Most of them are running out of booster boxes. You've got about a couple that are here and there that still have booster boxes, but for the most part, they're pretty scarce. But we did talk about at the very beginning of the video, one of the first things we talked about was the Pokemon Company gave us this update on product availability yesterday, which said that they are urgently trying to print Pokemon product as quickly as possible and as much as possible. So I think that there's going to be quite a bit of booster boxes right around the corner that we're going to get reprints for. So I'm excited about that. So how do I use trading card database? Where can I explain? But yeah, so update on Pokemon card trading product availability. So we'll definitely do a little bit more research, have a little bit more of a conversation, try and formulate and see where this stands, because a lot of these articles obviously are continuously changing and updating, and so it's hard to know what truly was the last updated time. But if we want to do a little bit more of a deep dive, we always can on the Twitter sphere and see what that's going to look like. But yo, Eli, should I invest in base set? Well, Michael, I'm not a financial advisor, and of course everything I say is not financial advice, but I think you should do whatever you want to do in terms of what you seek the most enjoyment out of in your investing and collecting. Now, if you're saying, I don't care about anything other than money, then obviously you got to find your opportunities in base set, and outside of that, there's always going to be opportunities in ultra modern as well as vintage, but it's hard to kind of just, once again, paint a brush across it all. Base set versus... Now you guys are all just trolling. Been working a lot. I've been checking out your videos lately, though. I listen to you all of your recent videos at work. Looks like you're doing great to yourself. That's awesome. Hey, I appreciate that, Justin. Thank you so much for the continued support. I'm glad you're still watching our videos. And yeah, no, things are going well. Channel's growing. And yeah, I'm excited for the future. And it's funny that you obviously stopped by, said hi. I'm really glad you did, because honestly, man, when it comes to all you guys, the regulars that come in here, Babe Cakes, Pika Pika, Average Player, John Doe, you, etc. Like, I could keep going on. Like, and I feel like, how dare you not mention my name? Like, I could have mentioned at least 20 or 30 other people off the top of my head, right? So it's like, all you guys, I greatly appreciate you, and I think about you guys when you're not here. That sounds so weird, but it's true. Like, if I'm on a stream and it's been like 3 weeks and I'm like, yo, where the heck did John Doe go? Why haven't we seen John Doe? What the heck happened to Travis? What the heck happened to, like, scratch them all? Like, there's always going to be times where people are gone, and if they move on from the channel, then obviously, like, it sucks, but that's the reality of it. But when you guys come back, I do genuinely get excited, because it is nice to see that that you guys are still lurking and still watching my content. Lord Narwhal, how dare you not mention my name? Right? Hey, I love you too, Marcus. And Charizard King forever. It's all about the community, brother. Not weird at all, right? And it is all about the community. I sold on my Evolving Skies case, had 6 of them. I felt I was a good payout. Well, shout out to you, Christian, because it probably was an amazing payout. So, hey, shout out to you on that one. Thoughts on picking up celebrations? I feel like this may be the last chance to get any decent prices. Well, Matthew, if you had been following my content for the past couple months, I would not shut up about the Lance's Charizard and the Dark Sylveon boxes that were available at Walmart forever. I said, pick it up as much as you can every day. Pick it up. This is going to be the best opportunity. So is there opportunity still to pick up Celebrations product? Yes, but like, we had an amazing opportunity not too long ago to pick it up. So Michael Duck says, was trolling, dude. Sorry. No, dude, don't be sorry. I know some of you guys are always trolling. Don't get me wrong. Literally freaking the whole meme siege buyout thing was a complete troll in the community. Like, it was just a funny video that we all just made. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know, trust me. I appreciate you I appreciate you, brother. Not weird at all. What if we wanted to be weird? It's not weird at all. You like, that's so funny. You don't say that about me, Gennaro. Hey, shut up. Get out of here. Everyone's gonna start piling in. Yo, I thought I was one of the regulars. When do you ever say my name? I think about you when you're not here. I think about you when you're sleeping. Yeah, now you guys are really just trolling me. Not going anywhere. Bullish on Pokemon long term. We appreciate you taking your time for us. And I'm annoyed when I'm busy missing your stream. Oh, I appreciate that. What is a good price for the Umbreon VMAX Altar? $2. If you can get it for $2, that's an amazing price. Does that answer your question? No, obviously you want to answer for what's a good realistic price you can get it for. Well, personally speaking, I think Evolving Skies reprints are right around the corner, so I'm waiting personally because I think prices are going to crash. But for the sake of it all, if you're asking me what's a good price, let's take a look at what the market price is. PSA 10 most recently was selling for $805. And look, the price for 10s is continuing to go down, guys. So it's not as if like... I mean, have you guys noticed that the price of the Moonbreon on TCG Player has actually started to go down recently? Like, can we have a conversation about that? And why is that happening? Because PSA 10 pop is going up. Look at the population now. Remember when this was only 400 or 500? Population report's going up because PSA prices are dropping, guys. So I personally would wait because I think this is just going to continue to go down. But if you're saying what's a good price, around $700. 650. Do you think Metal Zard will moon if PSA ever starts grading them? I think that there will definitely be a new market for them on PSA, but I don't know if they will necessarily moon. You can definitely see a value for them increase because of it though, but don't know how much. Do you think we should wait on buying any booster boxes, in my opinion, that is currently in the standard rotation and not about to go out of rotation? I think is worth waiting on. I'm glad I picked up a bunch of Zard and Sylveon boxes before the Walmart reprint ran out. Heck yeah, baby. Any Australians in the chat? Lance's Charizard Exilion boxes are still available for 4080. Shout out to Michael on saying that. Yeah, it keeps going down, man. Be safe, be safe. Oh, selling price. What's a good selling price? I mean, whatever it is that... I mean, for me, man, if I see a general market average on what is on eBay and I want to just quick sell it, especially if I think it's an ultra modern product that's going to keep going down, I just look at the general market average of the last sold and I sell it for slightly below that and just get rid of it. Moment of silence for those who bought the Moonbreon PSA 10 for 1,500. Oh my gosh, we're gonna need more than a moment of silence for them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start wrapping up here. Last couple of questions, then we're gonna head out. We're coming up on that 2-hour mark. Time flies when you're having fun. But as far as it goes, though, want to first and foremost thank everyone for stopping by. Really appreciate you, of course, being a part of the channel. If you have any more questions about the wholesale program, even if it works for you, please, please, please feel free to message me on that. As we do, of course, have a lot of opportunities still available for people to join if you are interested in. But outside of that, you want to join the Discord and, of course, be a part of the community. You know, feel free to do so. Links down in the description below for everything. But let's answer a couple last questions and then let's get out of here. I don't think Moonbreon will crash. They can cancel Evolving Skies, or PS can increase grading prices. I mean, PS can increase grading prices. That's not going to happen. PSA right now is more than likely going to lower prices pretty soon here. I mean, the demand drop off for grading has been crazy. So it just doesn't really make sense at this point for them not to do that, especially going into the new year. And when prices, of course, are going to be corrected because of the gauge of demand, you're going to see more cards get sent in. And that's going to lead to more supply, which is going to lower prices. You think they will print anything older than 2020 for booster box? My guess is no. Of course they will. Oh yeah, they're gonna print. I mean, we'll probably see reprints for sets like Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Battle Styles, Chilling Reign. Like any of these are very much so in possibility of being reprinted. It's in standard rotation, Mike, and the only thing that Pokemon cares about the most right now is how can we cater to our competitive player base? And those cards are still in standard rotation. If they're in rotation and they're still going to be played in competitive for Worlds this upcoming year, then there's no reason for them not to. Hey, good to see you, Scratch'em. Don't leave us, Princess, right? Can you talk about Ancient Mew prices? I can't right now because that is going to be too much in depth, but I will in the next video. PSA going to $10 this year. Doubt they go any lower, though. I think 10 to 12 is realistic. Waifus all the way. We don't catch your stream on time, but when you are on, myself and the boys usually just hang while listening to you live. All love from Canada. Hey, thanks, Marcus. Shout out to you on that one. I appreciate it. Don't leave us not in Europe. I do wonder if Pokemon in general is going to be a big bubble. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely have to see as history goes on, but I think that at the end of the day, Pokemon is in a really healthy spot right now, as a whole, as a market. Always going to be corrections going up and down, but right now I'm excited to see what the future is. But all right, guys, I gotta head out. I've got a meeting very soon. I gotta take care of a couple of things before I do that, but we are at our 2-hour mark. Thank you. I want to thank everyone once again so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to enter into our weekly giveaways. But that is all for today's